Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is Wendy Rose Williams and I'm here with Gregg Kirk for the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. And we're so happy to have you here with us today, whether it is live in the Waking Up Spiritually Facebook group or whether it's via Zoom, or perhaps you'll be catching us later via the archive on the website, wakingupspiritually.com. And I help people release energy that no longer serves them, specifically pain, anxiety, depression, and also free up stuck creative energy. So that's my role as a past life adventure guide. And my website is wendyrosewilliams.com. So I'll turn it over to Gregg to introduce himself and also to set the stage for today, both energetically as well as our topic of spiritual refocusing.
Yes, I'm Gregg Kirk. You can find me at Gregg, GreggKirk.com. I am an energy worker, light worker, whatever you want to call it. It's similar to Wendy. I help people find the blocks, the spiritual obstacles or the energetic obstacles that keep them from moving on, that may be hindering their life, all the way down into physical manifestations like diseases. Yes, so you can find me at GreggKirk.com. I'm also run something called the Lyme Recovery Clinic. So I help patients of Lyme disease with chronic illness. So today's topic is spiritual refocusing. It's something we've alluded to in a couple of our other broadcasts. This is our ninth broadcast, by the way. And the idea of spiritual refocusing is a nice term for spiritual turbulence, really, is another way of describing it. So let's say you've done all your work. You've changed your diet. You've got a daily practice. You have done all the readings. You've read all the gurus, and you're leading. You're on your life's path. You know it. And no matter what you do, and maybe you've had a good stretch where things are really falling into place for you, and you feel like this is the way it's going to be until you ride off into the sunset. But then all of a sudden, obstacle upon obstacle starts befalling you, and you wonder, first thing you wonder is, what have I done wrong?
And why am I doing this?
Yeah, well, or it may make you think, wait a minute, maybe I'm not on the right path, or maybe I'm not doing the right things. Mm-hmm. And this is what we'd like to talk about in detail. Wendy and I both have been through these kinds of things several times. It's not something that will happen to you probably once in your lifetime, I hate to tell you. It's all about your evolution, this stuff. So it's not all, it's your perspective on whether or not you view it as a good or a bad thing. That's one thing. Most people, when something challenging happens, they place judgment on it immediately and say, oh, everything's going wrong. These things are all bad. And I'll just give you a quick example. I wrote a book called The Gratitude Curve about a 12-year experience I had with Lyme disease. And Lyme disease sounds like a terrible thing. And it is if you focus on the pain and all the terrible stuff. Some people eventually die from it, But it's one of those things where, depending on your perspective, and if you look at really all kinds of diseases, they're indicators in your life. They're signposts in your life that something that you're doing is causing this discomfort and this disease. And I was fortunate enough to realize that, a few years into the struggle, that I didn't have to view this as a struggle. I viewed it as, I'm being given a bit of a roadmap here. If I don't change my diet, if I don't change my environment of toxic people who are around me, and if I don't change some of my beliefs of, that I need to put a lot of stress on myself and work, put my nose to the grindstone and try to live the American dream, that's really not set up for me to win. Maybe there's other opportunities for me to have success, and they're more healthy. And, also in the middle of all this, I had, what some people used to call back in the 70s or 80s, like an identity crisis. Basically, everything that I had defined myself by during that period of time was burning up, like all these wildfires going on the West Coast. Almost literally everything, my job, my health, the things that I used to do, I couldn't do anymore. I used to brew my own beer. I couldn't drink anymore. It made me feel ill. All of these things. And during the most turbulent point of this, I thought, wow, I'm losing who I am. And that's a tough place to be. And this is all a part of refocusing. Okay. So I could have hung on to all of that and gone down with the ship. But instead, and I can't tell you why, I was just one of these fortunate people where I came to the fork in the road, and as Yogi Berra said, I took it. Literally, there's two paths, and I was going down one that I was sure was the best path, and by all indications, it was the most pleasurable one for years of my life. But all of a sudden, that it became too intolerable, too painful, and as my life burnt to the ground, I realized that, like forest fires, it burns away the things. It's actually a healthy thing for a forest to burn away the dead wood, and it leaves, new room for growth. And as I started looking at things that way, I realized I was being pointed in a different direction. So that was great. And as I started to realize I had another path I could take in my life, I started doing that. And it was this dramatic departure from everything that, I left. Well, I was actually jettisoned or given an early retirement from a job where I made, a good living. And that made me nervous. And I started a career helping people, which didn't give me a lot of money initially. And honestly, today it's still, very up and down. But everything else about my life became, I was more healthy. I went into remission. I didn't have Lyme disease anymore. My spiritual growth shot off the charts. The healing abilities that I had started investigating all the way back in 1997, just became borderline magical on some days. And I realized, okay, this is the right path. So then you think, all right, well, I'm done. This is my path now.
Right. Let's embrace it.
Guess what? Your guides or whatever you signed up for before you came into this life, they have other plans. It's not over, and the refocusing, I just got to tell you, doesn't ever end. So get used to it, realize it, so that so what are some signs of refocusing? Well, I'm kind of laying them out. When things get so intolerable in your life, that you got to take a step back and say, all right, things are getting so dense that fate is pushing against me. I can feel it. So that, or, my guides they're trying to tell me something. So I've got to just stop for a day and take a deep breath and examine what's going on and go with my intuition, talk to my guides through meditation, be open to any messages. And so, this wasn't like a light switch went off where I thought, oh, I'll just do this now and everything will be great. It took, years. But that said, then after that switch took place, and I went so far as I took an office, I started helping people, and I wrote a book, and all these very positive things happened in my life. I hit another wall where, for 2 months, I made almost no money. Which scared me to death. I thought, oh man, I don't think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about this path. And I got upset. And I got to tell you, it's okay to get upset. I think your guides really want you to get upset. As crazy
I think they want us to purge emotions, and those different experiences are the dreaded growth opportunity. Like, don't we all dislike that term?
Yeah,
But
that's
just
why
trying to keep that
Tom Kenyon
sense of
calls them
humor.
the FGOs, the effing growth opportunities,
Yeah.
because they're not fun. They're usually painful and embarrassing, or whatever. It's all the rough stuff you got to look at. But they're a part of this, so much so that you got to have a freak out day or two. You got to have a bit of a breakdown. And I did. I had a breakdown where I was shaking my fist to the heavens and swearing, it's at whatever was causing this stuff. And things did change within about 48 hours, where things lightened up, and it was just like a complete turnabout. And, I don't know if it'll be that way for me the next time, but it did happen again after that. And it was maybe not quite as dramatic, but these things happen. And the idea is, listen to that, the title, it's refocusing. So it's not necessarily a time to completely give up. It's a time to refocus, because here's really the point of what happened. So, after switching and switching careers and started and moving down that path, I thought, oh, this is the way it's going to be. Then I hit this turbulence, and then I did what I was focusing on in my career shifted, because I basically burnt away the small amount of things that weren't helping me anymore. It made me re-examine what I was doing, and actually just some people came into my life to give me some business advice as well, unasked for. And that was, my guides kind of pushing some things in my face, and it was like, okay, I'm going to focus on this now.
And did you hear some of that advice or messages more than once? Like, were you noticing it kept coming up? Our guides are just so patient, trying to get our attention.
It was more than once. You're absolutely right. So when it happens more, people say when it happens 3 times, you just can't ignore it anymore. You got to take it as gospel. But when it happened to me twice, that got my attention. Within the course of a month or two, 2 different people gave me the same bit of advice. So, you got to pay attention to that. So I did, and things went better for a very good stretch of time until they went off the rails again. And then, so by this point I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. I see the rhythm of this thing. So, I didn't freak out as bad the next time. And I made another adjustment in what I was doing, and I've been moving along ever since. So that's my experience with refocusing. And I just want to mention this before I turn things over to Wendy for a bit. A lot of people have been going through something right now over the past month or two that is definitely a time of refocusing. It's also a time where the Earth's energies are very, very turbulent as well. So it's basically the heat's been turned up. Whatever you've been going through personally is wild enough. But what the Earth is experiencing right now with different energies and so forth, I think 7 planets just went into retrograde the other day. I mean, astrologically, this is a crazy time. So I run, outside of our group, I run a group healing circle where we all get together and we do a group healing and a meditation. And for the past 2 times, we've been using something called the Holon Ascension. I'll include links to it. It was channeled through Tom Kenyon via the Hathors. That's a group of disembodied spirits who are phenomenal. They're helping humanity. And they gave him this 10-minute meditation clearing that we've been using to great effect. So the last 10 minutes of our broadcast today, I'll lead us through that.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
So I just wanted to let you know that aside from us, Wendy and I kind of walking you through what refocusing looks like, we're going to give you some tools to help you refocus, but also to clear your energy so that you're finely tuned to receive this information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Gregg, thanks for sharing that and setting the stage so powerfully. I can't emphasize enough the need to ground and to clear our energy. And we've talked about that in the 2 energy management programs. And I think that kind of permeates every discussion we have, because if you think about it, you can't really be too grounded or too clear, particularly in turbulent times, and particularly because the ascension opportunities right now, through those turbulent times are just amazing, that we really can be raising our vibration and frequency. But you can't do that well, and you can't sustain it, and you can't keep your body happy if you don't really ground. So you've always got to ground before you pull up. So I guess there are lots of airplane analogies with this conversation we're having today of, takeoffs and landings and turbulence and touchdowns, touch points, like the touch and go that they do. So, that's some of what we're doing. But I think just if we can look within, and if we can decide the universe has my back, and make that decision, that's like the biggest decision you can make in life, whether life is going to go well for you, because you're going to have the flexibility, and you're going to, just have the coping mechanisms and the resiliency to deal with the refocusing that will come up, and those different things. And Gregg, I wanted to comment when you mentioned not having the income for 2 months. I wonder if that was specifically something that your soul decided to experience, or your guides decided to shake you to wake you with that, to release fear. If there was any fear around scarcity, or not enough, or not being able to provide for yourself and your family, because we're going to attract the experiences we need. And they're not fun, they're not easy. But I think if when they start to happen, and when things start to fall apart, it's that moment of, there's a nice expression around, things sometimes have to fall apart to come back together more beautifully. Because we're not really on plan. And it's like we can up level. It's like the next stage is available, but we get complacent. We don't love change. Everything feels good. Why would I want to change it? So that's why the pain point has to come in, of, a fear releasing, or getting downsized from a corporation, or your own company not doing well, or the car collision, or the physical discomfort or disease, or whatever might be going on. So does that make sense to you, that it was to get you to release fear and to process the emotions?
Yes, there was also some ego work to do on my end.
Sure.
I was given, a friend of mine we were having a conversation, and literally a channel came in when he was speaking to me. I could physically feel the temperature in the room change when this happened. And he was told through the spirit that I needed to read the book. I mean, this is how specific it was. They made him write it down, because he told me 2 different times, and he wasn't taking it seriously. So we would continue in the conversation, and he'd just say, all right, okay. He went in the other room, wrote it down. Here's what they want me to show you. Read Falling Upward by Richard Rohr. It's all about shadow work. Okay. So talk about that real quick, because if you don't handle your ego and this shadow work, which is the dark side, we're all a balance of light and dark. If you don't embrace the dark side of yourself and come to terms with it and balance it, and realize some of the negative aspects and some of the positive aspects of your dark side, it's tough for you to move forward. And I was blind to that idea completely. So I thought I was like, why would I even want to look into my dark side?
Right.
But it's a very good book. It's very short. You can read it in like 2 seconds. But the idea is, you don't put yourself up in an ivory tower. Don't ever do that. Which was what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to be a spirit of light. I'm only going to be looking at the light.
And I think that's just like such a natural stage. And it's like, you just have to be kind to yourself for it. About it. And same thing when we first start to have any healing abilities or become aware of them, because we're all we're all intuitive, we're all psychic, we're all capable of healing. But when you get a little touch of that and, get a good result or two, whether it's with yourself or family or friends or paid clients, we can get what I call newbie healer disease. And we're like trying to heal everything.
Right.
And it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's really inappropriate. Once I got further into it, I was like, oh my goodness, did that person want my help? Did I just actually interfere with their free will? Did I just interfere with their lesson? Did I just interfere with their path? So it took a couple people really pushing back at me for me to realize that was not appropriate. I mean, it had the best intention, but it didn't have the best sophistication to it.
Right.
And that's okay. I think it's just one of the stages that we go through that we all learn.
Illustrate that. I was at a in-person gathering of healers one time, and we were all talking, and this woman started channeling on me. She's like, your guides are talking to me. Do you want to hear what they have to say? I said, yeah. And she said, your guides are saying it's not your job to heal everybody on the earth. I was like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
I was doing what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody came in my path. I'm like, I'll fix this person.
Yeah,
Well, no. That's just, you're not ever fixing anybody, for one thing.
Correct.
And for two, it's only your job just to listen, where they are, and it's your job to help the other person heal.
Exactly. I mean, really, we're holding space in a respectful way for the person to do their own work and to do their own healing. I mean, yes, we may be assisting if there's a request and if it's appropriate.
Right.
So I think there's that, there's got to be that finesse to it. And you also mentioned that when you were going through some of these changes and things kind of feeling like they were falling apart, and that was just the status quo falling apart. It was just that stage starting to fall apart, that you then went through sometimes a second or third round of it, of the testing in the same area. And I completely relate to that. I think that's just how it works as we release energy, because there may have to be this big, tough challenge or blow up to get our attention, to get us to change, and to get us to be on the new best path, because it changes. And then there might be like a little test that's like not as hard, or we just recognize it and we've developed more skills with it. So it's like, you're peeling the onion more and you don't cry nearly as hard. It's like, oh, I get it.
I think the more you ignore it, the worse it gets. So
exactly, because it's got to get our attention.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I was pretty devastated when I first started really getting on my life path and doing my work as a past life regressionist and as an author and as a speaker. And when I started really going that way, I was leading a double life, because I was still working in corporate America for a conservative employer. I still had young children. I was a single mom, and I just wasn't willing to, fully come out of the closet, so to speak. It just wasn't yet appropriate. But over time, it just became more and more uncomfortable, like kind of living those two lives. So I chose my time. Part of it I chose. Part of it was I waited until my children were 18 and custody was no longer an issue. And part of it was chosen for me because I got laid off from 30 years of corporate employment. And so, that was, it's not that it was done to me and I kind of knew it was coming. I was getting the feeling and hearing it in meditation of, you really need to be doing your own business full time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, scary. all the protestations, protesting about it. But a big loss for me was shaking up the relationship with my family so hard, because they just were not on board and were not interested in the big changes I was making and what I was now interested in. It was just really not on their radar. And I also had a lot of friends fall away. So that didn't feel good. But you know what? As I got more perspective on it, I'm like, gosh, those really were no longer the right friendships for me anyway. but I just wasn't seeing it and or wasn't willing to make the changes. So they needed to happen for me. So when that then happened, when I up leveled again and raised my vibration and started doing more new things and refocusing, Gregg, as you said, and was really kind of sharpening the saw, another big round of friends were like, oh goodness, nope. Either I was choosing or they were choosing. I'm not a victim. It's not something being done to me, but there just wasn't alignment. And I just started to, realize there's just really no judgment about it. It was a great relationship for whatever time period. And it can be a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And there's just not very many of those, lifetime relationships. And that's okay too. We're here for the experiences. And some of us in particular just kind of cycle through things fairly quickly. So yeah, it does get easier as you're going through the things second and third time because you develop the skills. And when life would start to kind of shake apart and it was time for that spiritual refocusing, I no longer assumed, I've done something wrong. Oh, this is terrible. It was just, I was able to really move to much more of a curiosity place of what's this about? Huh, that's interesting. Look at that. And kept my cool a little bit better because I had released so many huge emotions that I was just on a more even keel. And just had better coping and resiliency with the big changes. So when the job went away, I didn't crawl under a rock. I gave myself the weekend to fuss and fume and cry and kiss my 401k paperwork a few times because I was like, oh, it's gone. Oh my God, what's going to happen? But over time, you can just be like, I wonder what cool thing's going to happen next. And that's, more moving into the universe has my back place. And that's not easy to do. I mean, if you've just had your car totaled or just really are physically struggling, there's something really disconnecting and you're having problems physically, or financially or whatever it might be. It's hard to be in that calm place, but I think we can learn to do it. And there's also that fun joke when something goes really wrong. So many of us are writers or want to be writers. And you can just say, plot twist. You can just literally, when something's, totally, you're like, oh, I didn't see that one coming, or gosh, this doesn't feel good at all. You can just literally, try and joke and just say, plot twist. I didn't know that was coming. And it does get easier. And I think some of the other things that can play in here too are what's called the dark night of the soul, which is where you can very suddenly feel disconnected from source, which can just feel terrifying. And a lot of people call that it's not one literal night for most people. It can be weeks, months, or even years of a dark night. And it's us balancing our egos. Some call it an ego death. Obviously, our ego can't really go away, but our ego of who we were at that time, absolutely. I can consider that an ego death, when we go through these profound periods of change and have to do a spiritual refocusing. Because if we don't, it's just going to be longer and harder. So, and that's the secret with that dark night. And maybe it's the secret with the spiritual refocusing too, is to just surrender to it. Like you said, Gregg, and just whether you're pounding your fists on the wall or the floor, or just swearing or whatever you need to do, punching that pillow, just to get it out and being able to purge those emotions in a safe way.
That's what I was surprised about. I always thought, a spiritual, after you've supposedly spiritually awakened, that you never lost your shit again. And from every, that you don't get angry, or you always avoid negative emotions and that kind of stuff. And for the most part, of course, you don't expose yourself to negativity that would cause constant stress on yourself. But there's these times, these dark nights of the soul, or as Pema Chodron says, things are either they're in a state of falling apart or coming together.
Right.
And so things are going to fall apart just as a natural cycle of things, So as you're going through these things, I've gotten over and over again the advice from, some of the great healing masters who've written books, to friends of mine who have gone through it. They're basically are saying that you're not meant to avoid. Don't push down your emotions on this stuff. Don't run away from it.
Well, that's what creates shadow, is just stuffing it, and when we can't handle it, and that's what creates a heart wall.
Right.
Because we just can't handle it that time, and then it's more work to going back, back later, and that's okay. We evolve. We have all the time we need, and we get to come back again and again by our own choice, and work to do that, and learn to, all those buzzwords. We've got to balance up our shadow. We've got to heal our inner child. We've just got to do the inner work. It really is an inside job.
Right. Well, the point is that, by avoidance, it's just kind of come at you anyway. And I wrote a little chapter in my book where I said, basically, if you keep avoiding these things, it's like you're constantly having a recurring dream of there's a monster chasing you. And while the monster's chasing you, you're in complete terror. But if you turn around and look the monster in the face and ask it what it has to teach you, that's not terrifying at all, actually, or not much. And that's the point, is look for, in these moments of crisis, these moments of refocusing, it's your job to look for the opportunity in it. And that may seem like a crazy idea when it feels like your hat's on fire, but that's the point. And the point is for you to remain cool when your hat's on fire, and be like, oh, okay, what is this teaching me today? Because that's really all it comes down to. It's a lesson.
Right, exactly.
Growth opportunity that you got to pay attention to, or it'll keep recurring,
Yes. My first spiritual teacher used to have a neat expression, and she was using the dragon analogy too, of, what you were afraid of. And she would say, you need to sit down and have tea with your dragon, and just have a conversation of what's scaring you, what's keeping you from moving forward, where are you tripping yourself up, and just face it. And then it's no longer an issue. And then our dreams change. When we haven't faced it, when we haven't resolved it, you keep having those recurring dreams. And as soon as you deal with it, your psyche and your guides and your subconscious are like, oh, finally, we can get off this channel and send some, new information and work on something new, because they finally dealt with that one.
But I think in general, and not just with dreams, just with recurring experiences in your life, that you're not, you're being a knucklehead and it keeps hitting you in the head.
Oh, sure.
But the thing that takes some fear out of it is to realize there is an opportunity knocking as you're getting knocked in the head. So what is that opportunity? Look for that. So the next time turbulence hits you, just realize something is kind of dropping out of the sky there, and there's a lesson, there's an opportunity in it. So what is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I had to do some spiritual refocusing a couple years ago. Gregg, you helped me with this one. We did a session or two after it, and I'll just tell the story briefly. But I parked my car in a location in a parking lot, and I specifically asked my angels before I parked there, should I park here? Is this a good place to park? And they said yes. And when I left a couple hours later after the event, I had to pull out and make a right onto the street, but it was hard to see because of parked cars. And the parked cars that were right there happened to be quite large. So they were really blocking my view. So I'm like nosing out really slowly, to make sure there's no one coming. And there's nothing coming because I'm looking through the windows on the park. There's nothing coming. So I pull out and wham, get hit, do a full spin, airbags. I've never had airbags deploy, and that's kind of terrifying because it's like an explosion, and I couldn't see a thing because it was both airbags across the front and it was the airbag across the the driver's side window. So I'm completely blind. I'm just trying to get my foot on the brake was my only goal. Get my foot on the brake to stop the car because I didn't know where I was, and I was afraid that there might have been people or dogs, because there were a lot of people walking dogs, and I was afraid I was back in the parking lot or even in the restaurant dining, outdoor dining area. I mean, I was petrified because I did not know where my car had been pushed to because it was hit so hard. And what this was all about was for me to let go of my fear of authority, because I had to call the police. I had to deal with insurance adjusters. I had to deal with tow truck. I had to deal with settling the value of the car. I had to deal with, other insurances because 2 other cars ended up being involved. The one that hit me then went on and she hit another parked car. So so I could have gone to the place of being angry with my guides. Look at how pointless that would have been. And I didn't go there at all. I just said, okay, I'm confused, because I specifically asked you, should I park here? And I also specifically said, is it safe to pull out? Should I pull out? And I was hearing clear yeses. So I needed to clear my fear of authority.
Right.
And that was the way it was done. And it made a big difference in my life. And I also was very fortunate. I was not badly injured. I mean, that really could have been a serious, serious injury for me. And I was fine within 24 hours.
Wow.
So it was it was a spiritual refocusing.
Big time.
So,
well, do you, is there anything else you want to bring up? Otherwise,
no, I'm just looking at my list. I think some other examples that can come up of things that spiritually refocus. It can be those perfect storms where just feels like everything's going wrong in its attempt to go right. Where you've got the health and the money and the relationships. It's just like everything. And I'd be thinking to myself, do I even have a root chakra? Just literally, because it was like everything, so big and so basic and so important. So it can be those perfect storms where everything's just falling apart. Like back in 2004, and I was getting divorced, and that was very hard to do with young children. And I was going to be moving and going through all that. My mom was moving in from out of state, got 2 little kids who are just reeling from what do these changes really mean. And literally on the day that my mother and I bought our new house, I was laid off the same day. And my dad was diagnosed with cancer on the same day. So, and was refusing treatment initially, because that's not for manly men. So, that's sort of a perfect storm. As much as they suck, they are efficient. And it's really a chance because Gregg, you were talking about burning up and, just letting things, if you've got Phoenix energy and you can just go within and look for, if you've got that dragon within you, or if you've got that, Phoenix or that eagle or whatever, you just have to into and know what your strengths are and bring up those new abilities within yourself to just know you're going to be fine. You're going to refocus. You're going to figure it out. And just trust that it's for a reason. And the other huge example I had of needing to do a spiritual refocusing, when I was waking up spiritually, I had a lot of fear. That was my big number one thing. What will other people think? And all kinds of fears. So as a result of that, because I was vibrating in that place, it wasn't anxiety. It was fear. It was fear. And because I was in that place, guess what I attracted? A whole bunch of things to actually be afraid of. because I had to release that, just like your example, Greg, of that low to no income for the 2 months. So I went through 2 full years of psychic attacks, and I would not wish that on anybody. So that was my 2013 and my 2014. And I was like, why did I open this Pandora's box called waking up spiritually? Why did I do it?
Yeah.
But there's no way to, the train has left the station. You can't not get on the train. And I don't say this to frighten you. I just say this to dig deep, go within, know that you're going to figure it out, know that you're going to be fine, know that you can find people to help you. That's why I became a certified spiritual teacher, as well as a Reiki master and a past life regressionist, because I needed answers for myself. So that's why I did such a deep dive in it, because I needed knowledge, and I needed a way to organize it, to be able to handle that. And people at that time were giving me great advice, but it was like speaking Greek to me when I was going through all the psychic attacks. And some of them would say, oh, it's not real. Well, that wasn't helpful for me. And then I was hearing a lot of, you just need to raise your vibration. And when you're vibrating at a higher level, you won't have those issues. And I'm like, well, but how?
Right.
I'm grounding, I'm clearing. It's like, what am I supposed to be doing? So that's what was hard and frustrating. And that was why I started working with a spiritual teacher. And what made such a big difference for me. But yes, that what led to a major refocusing. So I just want to give hope to anybody listening who's gone through any bits and pieces of this. We just want to offer you hope and say it's going to get better. You're going to get through it. You can do it. We really are all here to rise as a collective and unity consciousness with no harm to us or to anyone else. So mankind is raising its vibration and frequency to match Earth's. So, and yes, Earth's got to go through some more purging, and it's not fun or easy. And I think I really feel there's going to be multiple more rounds. So it is wise, if you're feeling any intuition of, I need to do a bit of prepping and have like a bigger pantry of non-perishables than I normally would, or if I need to buy a bunch of gas and safely store it for my generator, or whatever you need to do, stock up on cat food and kitty litter, whatever it is, to just be ready that we may have some real disruptions to our infrastructure that we haven't ever seen before. Things like banks being closed for a time period. So, we may choose to, have some cash safely stored, some small bills on hand, and just kind of think of scenarios and just know that you're going to take care of yourself well.
Right. Acceptance is a big part of this that helped me. So when I was in the middle of my life burning down, it reminded me of the Janis Joplin song, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. I felt only until I got to the point where I didn't feel like I had anything to lose. I was like, fine, burn it all, burn the rest.
Right. Right.
And that was liberating, actually. And that's when I realized, okay, there is something else here. I'm not being punished, which is what it feels like at first.
Right.
You realize you're not being punished, that this is a refocusing, then you can kind of lean into it and relax. And if you can do that, which is hard to do, relax into it, it's going to be easier. So to your point about all these other big changes that are happening with the earth right now, I'm getting the same information I think you are, or similar, that things are going to get more turbulent from now until the end of the year. And depending on your point of view, and depending on kind of like where you are vibrationally, it's going to look like hell on earth or heaven on earth. So
absolutely,
there's a dichotomy going on, and all the information I'm getting at this point is stop arguing. It's not your role to educate anyone anymore about this. It's time to get on the train.
Right.
Bring the people with you who are already, kind of on board.
Right.
And just start moving, raising your vibration, And it's, the path has been set at this point. So it's,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
the lifeboats are out.
Absolutely.
Children, some people don't believe there's anything going on. They're going to go down with the band playing, on the Titanic. But
And that's okay, because our souls are eternal. We're all going to be taken care of in one way or another. No one's being punished. No one's being left behind. It's just we're kind of at a tipping point where we're like you said, we're raising our vibration and moving up with new earth, because our thoughts create our reality, and it doesn't do us any good to be expert players at a game that no longer exists.
Right.
So we just have to, just keep on and just keep learning and rising to the new challenges, and just try and have some fun with it. I think is the best we can do.
Right. So, how about if we do a little hold-on ascension meditation for the last?
That would be wonderful. Do you want to check if there's any comments in the Facebook group? There's nothing in the Zoom chat. Do you want to do that before or after?
There's some comments, but it's just basically,
nothing needs to be answered.
Well, Shivranjana has asked, what's the name of the book again? It's Falling Upwards by Richard Rohr. When the when our broadcast is over, I'm going to respond in the comments section of our Facebook.
Perfect. And Gregg, please link your own book there too, because the Gratitude Curve is a fantastic book. And if people want a description of what's a past life regression session like, Gregg's got a chapter in there that's the session that he and I did together. Granted, they're all unique to that person, but it just gives you some idea if you don't know what a session can do for you and what it's like.
Right. Thank you. Okay.
Wonderful. Looking forward to this.
Take my glasses off. Okay, so before we do anything, we're going to do a little breathing exercise to get us all meditative.
Okay.
And then I'll recite a protection ritual, because this is one of those things where we're actually inviting some energy in from the outside. So whenever that happens, we want to make sure we're well protected. So
bringing in high vibrational, yes.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So to start with, we're going to be breathing in. So I'll just describe it. Don't do it until I say, let's get started. We're going to breathe in just through the nose for 6 beats, love, light, and healing coming in to our field and our energy bodies. It's going to loosen up anything in our etheric field or our energetic bodies that don't belong. We're going to hold this for 8 full beats. That'll count silently. And then we're going to release just out through the mouth, small opening, like we're blowing through a straw, for 10 long beats. And during that exhale is when we're going to release anything that doesn't serve us. Okay? So it's in with the good air, out with the bad. And we're going to do a cycle of 3 of this pranayama exercise. So here we go. In through the nose now. Hold it. Release. In through the nose. Hold it. Release. In through the nose. Hold it. Release. We're invoking Archangel Michael, Raphael, Saint Germain, all the guides, guardian angels, healing entities, and non-physical beings who have all of our best interests in mind to provide healing, guidance, and protection for all of us during this broadcast. We'd like to establish that we are all sovereign beings practicing free will, and we do not give permission for anything or anyone to enter our fields or our bodies without our consent, and we do not allow the mingling of our energies during this session. Thank you all. So we are now ready to begin the hold-on ascension. So to begin with, you're going to imagine yourself in a container that looks either like a flying saucer or the old tops that people used to play with like 100 years ago. In other words, where you're in the center here, imagine if you remember the old Jetsons cartoon, you're in the center in this bubble, and then coming out are these wings that go around you 360 degrees. So you're inside this container that's like a flying saucer. And you're going to start rotating energy around yourself, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And this energy is your own energy that's creating what's called a torsion field. So you're going to start spinning it very slowly right now. So imagine doing that. Visualize it. Mine is spinning clockwise right now. I'm seeing this kind of whitish, yellowish, sometimes bluish energy moving around in a solid wing, kind of like 360 degrees around me. All right? So once you get that established, you get that moving, you got to make sure it continues to move. So just try to make it an automatic thing right now. Just have it move, spinning. Don't need to make it too fast, just moderately fast, so that it creates a torsion field. And what that is it starts to create a bit of a vortex or like a funnel cloud in the center, which is where you are. So now bring your vision up above your head. Imagine that if you took your hands and clapped them, palms together at the very top above your head, that area there, that's an area called the Ba, B-A. That's where your energy interacts with the great mystery, infinite intelligence. That's kind of the edge of one of your fields. So at this Ba area, keeping in mind, just reminding you, you've got energy spinning around you now in a circle. Now start to focus on that Ba area and just imagine a little ball of light, maybe the size of a golf ball. That spot just above your head, about 2 feet. And start filling that ball with gratitude. Start thinking of things that make you grateful. A spouse, a loved one, members of your family, family pet. Some things that have been going well in your life, some things that you have that are near and dear to you. Things that open up your heart chakra. Feel your heart chakra sending the gratitude up to this ball now, which it should start to expand a little bit, right above your head in the Ba area. The mind's now the size of almost, not quite like a cantaloupe, getting bigger now. Now the size of a beach ball. So it's a white ball now. So as that ball expands, it's going to start sending energy down now through the center of you, down your pranic tube. That's a 2-inch channel. It starts in your crown area, the center, like your fontanelle when you were a baby, that soft spot on the top of your head. There's a 2-inch circular channel. It goes straight down through the center of you, all the way out through your perineum, through the bottom of you, like a tube, pranic tube. And start to feel that energy now just going down, that gratitude energy. What it's doing is it's attracting energy from the Creator. The Creator is now pushing. I can feel heat right now. I don't know if you all can feel it. I'm feeling heat moving down my face, down through my pranic tube. So basically, we primed the pump with that gratitude energy in the Ba area. Now it's sending energy down, straight down into us. And it's going to start collecting in the Ka area. That's the base of your spine, kind of where your tailbone is. So it's going to start filling up that area of the Ka. You can feel that energy moving straight down, heating you up. This is infinite intelligence energy. It's a package of energy and intelligence that's moving down into you now. It's giving you everything you need. It's loosening any blockages. And it's going to help you with information, mainly wisdom and love. to help you make it through these challenging, turbulent times that we're in, or any turbulent times that you're personally going through right now. Any adjustments that need to be made to you energetically so you can start weathering the storm. So the information that we've gotten on this meditation is 10 minutes is all we need to do. So keep focused on this energy spinning around you, this horizontal energy moving around the sides of you, because that's the engine that's pulling this energy down. The gratitude that you're sending up to the ba area has opened it up, and it's priming the pump. As I said, it's pulling energy from the creator down into this pranic tube area. It's going down, 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 down through our bodies and collecting in the ka area and filling us up, just like a vessel. So just let this happen. Sit back, enjoy it, relax, accept with gratitude, and be grateful for this energy that we're getting, this information, this wisdom tempered with love and compassion. See if you get a personal message as this information comes down in through you. It's coming down through the top of your crown chakra. Some of you may be able to actually decipher a personal message that you're getting or feeling you're getting. I did this ascension, whole on ascension yesterday with a group of people, and the message that we got was that be mindful of your emotions, because what we're going to be moving through, one of the things we're going to be moving through in this ascension that we're going to be experiencing from now until the end of the year, is we're going to be moving from the third dimension very rapidly through the fourth dimension and into the fifth dimension. So the fourth dimension is of time. So time is speeding up now. We're already stepping into the fourth dimension. And as time speeds up, the days seem shorter. It just seems like there's not enough time in the day to get things done that we wanted to do. And timelines start to skip. You start jumping on different timelines and it can feel really weird. It can feel like you went through a day that only felt like you went through like 4 hours. So as we're stepping through this, the 5D reality is one of manifestation, of almost immediate manifestation. So what we're going to end up, as we pass through this, the new world, I shouldn't say the new world, the new earth is going to be a place where those who have raised their vibrations are going to be able to manifest almost instantly. We're going to become magical beings, or realizing the magical beings that we are, is probably more correctly put. But we are going to have this power that's going to be easier to access to manifest things almost immediately. And the guides gave a very strong message yesterday that here's how it works. You have a thought, you have an emotion, and then you have a manifestation. So if you're not in control of your emotions, you're going to be manifesting things that you don't maybe necessarily want, or that might be rash decisions, or might be made from passion that are not wanted. So they're basically saying, gird your emotions so that you can be more in control of yourself when you move to the 5D reality. So I think it's important to repeat that. It was brilliant wisdom that we got from a guide who stepped in yesterday. Just drawing focus again back to the spinning energy that's spinning horizontally around us, and feeling and seeing, in some cases, this energy moving down from the ba area through our bodies down to the ka, which at this point should feel pretty full of this energy. Okay, and the guides are doing something that they did yesterday, so they're going to seal this energy in. So this is a double blessing. Where this energy that we received, if we didn't do anything about it, it might just kind of leak away or fade away. But the guides right now are forming an egg shape around each of us and wrapping us kind of like a cocoon. I see fibers. So we're being wrapped in our own kind of like egg-shaped cocoon, so we can maintain this energy for a time, probably about 24 hours. So we can access and integrate this beautiful energy, this wisdom, this love and light that we've been gifted with from our guides and from the Creator. And it's the Hathors who have given this information. We'd like to thank them as well. And you can do this whole-on ascension yourself in the future. I recommend doing it if you have a daily practice. It's a beautiful thing to do every day. So we're going to thank all the guides, guardian angels, healing entities, and non-physical beings who have our best interest in mind. Please allow us to integrate this energy with grace and ease, close this portal, but maintain this energy within us all. Thank you all. You can open your eyes when you're ready, come back into your bodies, and just take some time to get back into 3D reality.
Well, Gregg, that was wonderful. I definitely felt some healing and got a lovely message. And I'm questioning, I don't think I want to say anymore that we're coming back to 3D reality. I want to come back to 5D and higher.
Yeah.
I think we've outgrown the expression, we've outgrown the energy.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree. Well, so anybody who just experienced that in real time with us today, I recommend you can take a little nap or just chill out for a good hour.
Integrate it.
Let it integrate, because if you go out right now, go in public, go shopping or something, it can make you, this energy will leak out. And it doesn't feel very good. It can make you feel fatigued or wonky or whatever.
Yeah.
You may feel a little wonky right now. It's just totally normal.
Yeah. Yeah. So give yourself a hug and, kind of feel it in your heart and bring it in. And then you'll be able to live it.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, there's a lot of gifts that were packed within that. That was a parcel of wisdom and energy and love. And so just enjoy it for the next day or so. And
thank you so much. And also, I just want people to don't be concerned if you find yourself traveling a little differently than exactly what the person is saying as they lead the meditation. Don't worry, because we're protected and loved, and Gregg did everything to set it up. So I kind of went off on my own. I heard parts of it, but my guides took me somewhere else for part of it too. So I when I listen to the recording, I'll be like, oh, is that what we did? So it's okay if you go off and do your own, because like I said, it was, the stage was set properly.
Everybody gets what they need. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of people express concern about that. And they say, I didn't do the meditation right. I don't remember it. I didn't hear you. I did something else, or I went to sleep. I'll hear that too. Yep. Don't worry about it, because our guides work with us in different states, when we're awake, when we're asleep, when we're kind of halfway in between. So don't worry about it. Just do what's natural for you.
Yep. You get what you need every time.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's sign off. This is Wendy Rose Williams, expressing my gratitude to Gregg and to everyone that was with us, either live or on Memorex. Now I'm dating myself if you're listening to the archive later. And I can be reached at wendyrosewilliams.com if you'd like to learn more about working with me, how to release energy that does not serve you. And I do offer complimentary 15-minute phone appointments to get to know each other and to talk about how a session might serve you. So you can request that on my website. So thank you so much. Do look for the archives of the earlier episodes on the wakingupspiritually.com website that Gregg kindly keeps current. You can also join us in the Waking Up Spiritually Facebook group. And then you can see this as a live, and you can comment or you can post questions before or after. And I think that's it. So back over to you, Gregg.
Yes, come join me at greggkirk.com, GREGGKIRK. By the way, I mentioned I do these online group healing circles. Check the events link on my website for that if you're interested. They're only $20, so it's a good thing to try out if you feel the need. And the last 3 times or 2 times we've done the whole on ascension, and we've just gotten some great things. So thank you once again, Wendy. This was broadcast number 9. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for broadcast number 10.
Yes, we're here the 2nd and the 4th Sunday of the month at noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern if you want to join us live. So just mark your calendars for that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.